I was working with Cloudflare recently, and I learned quite a lot about Cloudflare workers, but also I was trying the D1 database. It is currently in open beta, and under the hood it's basically an SQLite database that you can use inside the Cloudflare workers. And today in this video I'll share everything I learned about working with D1. So it will include creating database, connecting it to your workers. We'll take a look how to create migrations, how to apply them locally, how to apply them in a real database, and we'll cover a bit of testing, how to set up test environment, and also how to use the D1 API, how to work with TypeScript. So let's start. First of all, I was using the template that they provide, an official one, so you can just use npm and use create Cloudflare latest, and then it will ask you a bunch of questions like the name of the project. So let's say Cloudflare D1 demo, and after that you can just pick like a most simple template, TypeScript, yes. It will take a while to install dependencies, but at the end of this you'll basically have a project that will look something like this, and in source you'll have the index.ts file, and you have this fetch function defined. It accepts a request and environment, and you basically just implement the logic of your worker inside. And so yeah, let's finish the creation of this project right here. So I don't want Git for now. I don't want to deploy it. So it generates the new project, but we're going to use this already generated one. So it is Cloudflare D1, and if we just run npm run dev, it will open start our worker on this local host 8787. If we do curl, we'll get the response from our worker. Say hi here and try it again. It should be let's reload this. Yep. Oh, wait a sec, I haven't saved it. So yeah, so you see it is auto reloading for us now. So that's the basic how to create a worker locally. So the next thing you want to do is to connect a database. So to do that, we want to run Wrangler. By the way, this Wrangler tool is the CLI to work with a Cloudflare infrastructure. So the main file for that is Wrangler toml, and by default you won't have this block, but you'll have something like this. It will include the name of the worker and then the entry point of your script. So let's focus on how to get this block. So to do that, you want to use Wrangler, which is installed in as a package here in dev dependencies. You see the Wrangler right here. So D1 create, and let's say demo, Cloudflare D1 demo. It will be the name of the database. If we run this, it will create the database for us in production, and then you can just copy this block and put it into the Wrangler toml right here. So I already created this before, and we're going to use this one. So to drop your database, you can do Wrangler D1 delete demo. So we'll just delete the database that we just created, and you need to approve it with yes. So that's how you create and delete database. So next, what you want to do is probably to create some tables that you want to use inside your database. Of course, you can connect manually to your local database or to your production database. There is a console and UI for that. But more but like a better approach is obviously to use migrations. So to do so, you want to create an empty folder with migrations, and I already have one, but we'll add one more together. So command for that is to Wrangler D1 migrations, and then we can do list. And I think I need to provide a database name, so like this. So it says no migrations to apply because this one was already applied. To generate a new one, we can do D1 migrations create. And then here at the end, you want to add like a partial name of your new migration. Let's say add items table, something like that. And now you see we have this new file right here. So we can create a new table like this. And let's call it like items and just name text to keep things really simple. So now this table is not created because only this migration was applied before I started recording. And there is a command, so you can do Wrangler D1 and then apply just like this. So by default, and actually they switched the default recently, I think. Now by default, migrations will be applied to your local database, which makes sense. And to apply same migrations to production, you need to provide remote flag. So as you see, it says we have one pending migration and we need to approve that we want to apply that migration. And here we have the result. So now we have both migrations applied. For database in prod, as I said, we want a remote true flag. So we can try calling this remote equals true. And let's see what will... Yeah, so as you see now in prod, I haven't applied first migration as well. So it will apply both of those. Yes. And here we go. Both migrations are applied. So now, if we run Wrangler dev, basically, let me stop this thing. If I go to package.json, you see our scripts is mapped to Wrangler. So npm run dev will actually be Wrangler dev. And it will read this TOML file in local environment as well. And it will create this local database. And this binding name is how it will be passed into the env param in the fetch. So here in env, we'll get our database. To make types working, you want to add this interface for env, and this db stands for like our binding name. If you prefer a different name here, you can put whatever you want, but make sure that you in your type you name it correctly. And the type is D1 database. So if we run npm run dev, you'll see that it will say us that our worker has access to the following bindings in D1 database, and that's the database name. So after we've done that, we can actually access our database, and we can do it by, let's say, we want const, and one of the tables is users, and one of the other table just we created is items. So let's insert one item, so like first item or something, and then we want to await and then env.db, and as I'm using TypeScript, you see it's properly typed now because we defined this interface. So to create a statement, we want to use this prepare. It will create a prepared statement for us. We want to insert into items, name, I think, values, and for now you can just use like a placeholder like this or position placeholder. And I've seen somewhere that they plan to support like named placeholders as well. So the API next is you want to bind, and you basically providing value for this placeholder right here. So like item 1, and then you just call run. Not run. What I want to do is I want to return everything. So it will be returning all, and I want to chain it with first. So there is first and there is all. Difference is that first will just return you the first row without any wrapping. If you run all, you'll have like a nested structure with the result inside. So let's try this first. And to test that, we probably can do something like JSON stringify. And here we'll just put our first item. Let's save this and try our curl command. So now we can see that we have our item inserted right here. So to update it, it will be something like const updated item, and then await env db prepare update items set name equals something, and we can do where name equals something else. So now we're binding two things. The first one will be updated name, and second one will be our initial name, but we can actually just get it from the first item. So we can do first item dot name, and again we want to call it with first, and let's just add it here. And again, I'm always forgetting like to add this returning all, so we have everything back, and let's run it once again. So now we have updated item with the new name, so that works. And also let me show you how to use select all. So just say it items, and we want to await env db prepare. So now we want to select all from items, and here we want to use the all function, so we have everything in the result. And again, let's add items here. So this is what we have. We have these key items, and then we see success true, and then metadata, and then results right here. So usually you just want results, or you probably want to check that success is true. But yeah, you can structure it right here, or you can just chain it here with results. In that case, we're now just getting items as an array. And if we check the type of this thing, you see it's like a record of string and unknown. If you are into TypeScript, you'll probably want types for that, and types are supported out of the box. So I created these types here and for the user, but we'll do the same for our new items. So let's say type item row equals name string. And now the only thing we need to do is everywhere where we call this first function, right here and here, we just want to pass a generic, and it will be item row. Save, and we can do same for other places like this. And whereas like for all it works as well, like this. So now we have our items row, vector of item rows correctly typed. And here is, as it says, it could be null, but let's say that we always have it. This all still should work as expected. Yeah. So let's quickly go over the entire API. So we already looked into all. Then you have first, and also in first you can pass column. So you can, if you're interested for a specific column in the result, then the row function, it will return something like this. So you won't have this mapping for the column names. And if you want column names, you can just call it with column names true, like this. So I'm usually not using this. I'm just sticking with all and first. Then we have run for things like delete when you don't care about the return, or if you're just inserting things and you don't have this returning statement, you can just use it with run. Then we have dump to get the entire database back, like a dump of the database. And then exec, which is specific one, but you can basically just execute bunch of statements without like having them as prepared statements. So one of the examples right here, you can see we fetching the SQL migrations, and we're just calling the like getting it as a text, and then we're executing them with this row exec function. So it's not commonly used. We already covered the TypeScript support. Reuse of the prepared statements, sometimes it could be useful. So in that case, you just split your query into two statements. The first one will just be prepared with a placeholder, and then you can reuse this statement to do multiple calls, like this one and this one, and it will just optimize the performance a bit. And batch statements, probably the other useful thing is you can think about that as a way of working with transactions. If you want to insert something into multiple tables, or if you want to update something in multiple tables and you want that to be atomic, you can wrap that into batch and then do your statements inside. And if one of those fails, everything will be rolled back. So yeah, it's kind of like slightly limited compared to transactions in other database like Postgres, but yeah, you can work with this, I think. That's about API, and let's move to tests. And that was quite tricky to find out how that should work. I think I found a nice way of doing that. I also will commit this repo into GitHub and leave the link in the description, so you can take a look yourself if you're interested. But basically, there is a package called vtest pool workers from Cloudflare, and we're going to use vtest to run the tests and to write tests. So a couple of things that we need to do is, first one, this is how our vtest configuration looks. So this is kind of standard from the docs. Couple changes here is that we use this mini-flare section here, and we set bindings, and we have these migrations bindings. These migrations are defined right here in const. So what we're doing is we're getting this migration path, which is our current dir name, and then migrations. So it will be this folder. and then we read D1 migrations. It's actually a function inside these VTest pool workers. So this will return a list of D1 migration objects, and then we just pass this into our configuration, and then we have this setup file, and it is defined right here. It is really simple. It's just like a one call to apply D1 migrations. So this setup so far will allow us to create independent databases, isolated databases, and they will have exact same structure inside for the tables, so we don't have to set up that manually inside our tests. And also, as you see here in this environment that we get from Cloudflare test is correctly typed. So this one is D1 database, and this test migration is a list of D1 migrations. And you can achieve that by adding this type right here. So you declare a module, and then you have interface provided env, and you just want to put things here that you use in your test. So after this, we can just jump into test itself. And here, this env is available from Cloudflare test. And you can literally just access DB from env, and you can just write your queries like this. And I can stop the local server, and instead I will run npm run test. This should pass. This was passing before. So yeah, one pass. And I just want to show you that it actually works. So here what we're doing is we're creating the user, inserting into the table. So table exists. This is not failing. That's because these migrations are applied. And then we're doing the select by ID. So let's say to break that, I want to provide some different ID when we do the query. We save that, and now tests are rerun, and we now have the failed here. And yeah, this is diff. So we're expecting an object getting the nil. So that says that tests are working fine. If I go back to correct behavior, that they are passing as well. So by default, if you generate this project from a Cloudflare Worker template, you'll have a bigger test right here that will show you how to test API calls to the worker. And with this setup for the database, you can use database inside the worker itself. So you can test end-to-end, and there's also a way to mock the outgoing HTTP requests. So the test support is quite good. But the docs are rather hard to find, I would say. And also they mentioned that in Miniflare was released to version 3, but they say that tests are not supported yet, so you should use Miniflare version 2. But somehow I was able to find an example with these vtest pooled workers, and everything just worked. So that's how you do testing for D1 and Cloudflare workers. Yeah, I think that's all for the video. Thanks a lot for watching. And as usual, don't forget to leave your comments, likes, and also there is always an option to support my work by buying me a coffee, and that really helps. So thanks a lot. See you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.